All right. Continuing with the Sutra of Hui-Neng, and going to start on chapter 2 on prajna. I got about 25 minutes to chill and read. And so, I may not get through this chapter. Not a super fast reader, and I'm reading out loud, so I would prefer to be clear. What a gorgeous day. Taking a lunch break, and instead of eating food, I am eating information. And at this proverbial dinner table. All right, chapter 2 on prajna. Next day, Prefect Wei asked the patriarch to give another address. Thereupon, having taken his seat and asked the assembly to purify their mind collectively, and to recite the Maharajna Paramita Sutra, he gave the following address. Learned audience, the wisdom of enlightenment is inherent in every one of us. It is because of the delusion under which our mind works that we fail to realize it ourselves, and that we have to seek the advice and the guidance of enlightened ones before we can know our own essence of mind. You should know that so far as Buddha nature is concerned, there is no difference between an enlightened man and an ignorant one. What makes the difference is that one realizes it while the other is ignorant of it. Now let me talk to you about Mahaprajna Paramita so that each of you can attain wisdom. Learned audience, those who recite the word prajna the whole day long do not seem to know that prajna is inherent in their own nature, but mere talking about food will not appease hunger. And this is exactly the case with these people. We might talk about shunyata, the void, for myriads of kalpas, but talking alone will not enable us to realize the essence of mind, and it serves no purpose in the end. The word Mahaprajnaparamita is Sanskrit and means great wisdom to reach the opposite shore, the sea of existence. What we have to do is to put it into practice with our mind. Whether we recite it or not does not matter. Mere reciting it without mental practice will be likened to a phantasm, a magical delusion, a flash of lightning, or a dewdrop. On the other hand, if we do both, then our mind will be in accord with that we repeat orally. Our very nature is Buddha, and apart from this nature, there is no other Buddha. What is Maha? It means great. The capacity of the mind is as great as that of space. It is infinite, neither round nor square, neither great nor small, neither green nor yellow, neither red nor white, neither above nor below, neither long nor short, neither angry nor happy, neither right nor wrong, neither good nor evil, neither first nor last. All Buddha kshetras lands are as void as space. Intrinsically, our transcendental nature is void, and not a single dharma can be attained. It is the same with the essence of mind, which is a state of absolute void, i.e., the voidness of non-void. Learned audience, when you hear me talk about the void, do not at once fall into the idea of vacuity, because this involves the heresy of the doctrine of annihilation. It is of the most importance that we should not fall into this idea, because when a man sits quietly and keeps his mind blank, he will abide in a state of voidness, of indifference. Learned audience, the illimitable void of the universe is capable of holding myriads of things of various shape and form, such as the sun, the moon, stars, mountains, rivers, so yeah, getting kicked out. So let's just read the last sentence that I got cut off in. In this way, we say our mind is great. Therefore, we call it Maha. Learned audience, what the ignorant merely talk about, wise men put into actual practice in their minds. There is also a class of foolish people who sit quietly and try to keep their minds blank. They refrain from thinking of anything and call themselves great. On account of their heretical view, we can hardly talk to them. All right. Learned audience, you should know that the mind is very great in capacity, since it pervades the whole Dharma Dhatu, the sphere of the law, i.e., the universe. When we use it, we can know something of everything, and when we use it to its full capacity, we shall know all. All in one and one in all. When our minds work without hindrance and is at liberty to come or to go, then it is in a state of prajna. Learned audience, all prajna comes from the essence of mind and not from an exterior source. Have no mistaken notion about that. This is called self-use or the true nature. Once the tathata, suchness, the essence of mind, is known, one will be free from delusion forever. Since the scope of the mind is for great objects, we should not practice such trivial acts as sitting quietly with a blank mind. Do not talk about the void all day without practicing it in the mind. One who does this may be likened to a self-styled king who is really a commoner. Prajna can never be attained in this way, and those who behave like this are not my disciples. Learned audience, what is prajna? It means wisdom. If at all times and in all places we steadily keep our thought free from foolish desire and act wisely on all occasions, then we are practicing prajna. One foolish notion is enough to shut off prajna, while one wise thought will bring it forth again. People in ignorance or under delusion do not see it. They talk about it with their tongues, but in their minds they remain ignorant. They are always saying that they practice prajna, and they talk incessantly about voidness, but they do not know the absolute void. The heart of wisdom is prajna, which has neither form nor characteristic. If we interpret it in this way, then indeed it is the wisdom of prajna. What is paramita? It is a Sanskrit word meaning to the opposite shore. Figuratively, it means above existence and non-existence. By clinging to sense objects, existence or non-existence arises like the up and down of the billowy sea. And such a state is called metaphorically this shore, while by non-attachment a state above existence and non-existence, like smoothly running water, is attained. And this is called the opposite shore. This is why it is called paramita. Learned audience, people under illusion recite the Maha Prajna Paramita Sutra with their tongues, and while they are reciting it, erroneous and evil thoughts arise. But if they put it into practice unremittingly, they realize its true nature. To know this Dharma is to know the Dharma of Prajna, and to practice this is to practice Prajna. He who does not practice it is an ordinary man. He who directs his mind to practice it, even for one moment, is the equal of Buddha. For ordinary man is Buddha, and klesha, defilement, is bodhi, enlightenment. A foolish passing thought makes one an ordinary man, while an enlightened second thought makes one a Buddha. A passing thought that clings to sense objects is klesha, while, while a second thought that frees one from attachment is bodhi. Learned audience, The Mahaprajna Paramita is the most exalted, the supreme, and the foremost. It neither stays, nor goes, nor comes. By no means of it Buddhas of the present, past, and the future generations attain Buddhahood. By means of it, Buddhas of the present, the past, and the future generations attain Buddhahood. We should use this great wisdom to break up the 5 skandhas, for to follow such a practice ensures the attainment of Buddhahood. The 3 poisonous elements, greed, hatred, and delusion, will then be turned into shila, good conduct, samadhi, and prajna, learned audience. And this system of mind, one prajna produces 84,000 ways of wisdom. Since there are that number of defilements for us to cope with, but when one is free from defilements, wisdom reveals itself and will not be separated from the essence of mind. Those who understand this Dharma will be free from idle thoughts. To be free from being infatuated by one particular thought, from clinging to desire, and from falsehood, to put one's own essence of tathata into operation, to use prajna for contemplation, to take an attitude of neither indifference nor attachment toward all things. This is what is meant by realizing one's own essence of mind for the attainment of Buddhahood. Learned audience, if you wish to penetrate the deepest mystery of the Dharma Dhatu, and the Samadhi of Prajna, you should practice prajna by reciting and studying the Vajrakhedita Sutra, the Diamond Sutra, which will enable you to realize the essence of mind. You should know that the merit for studying this sutra, as distinctly set forth in the text, is immeasurable and illimitable, and cannot be enumerated in details. This sutra belongs to the highest school of Buddhism, and the Lord Buddha delivered it specifically for the very wise and quick-witted. If the less wise and the slow-witted should hear about it, they would doubt its credibility. Why? For example, if it rained in Jambudvipa, the southern continent, through the miracle of the celestial Naga, cities, towns, and villages would drift in the flood as if they were only leaves of the date tree. But should it rain in the great ocean, the level of the sea as a whole would not be affected by it. When Mahayanists hear about the Diamond Sutra, their mind becomes enlightened. They know that prajna is immanent in their essence of mind, and that they need not rely on scriptural authority, since they can make use of their own wisdom by constant practice and contemplation. The prajna, immanent in the essence of mind of every one, may be likened to the rain, the moisture of which refreshes every living thing, trees and plants, as well as sentient beings. When rivers and streams reach the sea, the water carried by them merges into one body. This is another analogy. Learned audience, when rain comes in a deluge, plants that are not deep-rooted are washed away, and eventually they succumb. This is the case with the slow-witted. When they hear about the teaching of the sudden school, the prajna immanent in them is exactly the same as that in the very wise men, but they fail to enlighten themselves when the Dharma is made known to them. Why? Because they are thickly veiled by erroneous views and deep-rooted defilements. In the same way as the sun may be thickly veiled by cloud and unable to show his light until the wind blows the cloud away. Prajna does not vary with different persons. What makes the difference is whether one's mind is enlightened or deluded. He who does not know his own essence of mind and is under the delusion that Buddhahood can be attained by outward religious rite is called the slow-witted. He who knows the teaching of the sudden school and attaches no importance to rituals and whose mind functions always under right views, so that he is absolutely free from defilements and contaminations, is said to know the essence of mind. Learned audience, the mind should be framed in such a way that it will be independent of external or internal objects, at liberty to come or go, free from attachment and thoroughly enlightened without the least beclouding. He who is able to do this is the same standard is of the same standard required by the sutras of the Prajna school. Learned audience, all sutras and scriptures of the Mahayana and Hinayana schools, as well as the 12 sections of the canonical writings, were provided to suit different needs and temperaments of various people. It is upon the principle that prajna is latent in every man that the doctrines expounded in these books are established. If there are no human beings, there would be no dharmas. Hence we know that all dharmas are made for men and that all sutras owe their existence to the preachers. Since some men are wise, the so-called superior men, and some are ignorant, the so-called inferior men, the wise preach to the ignorant when the latter asks them to do so. Through this the ignorant may attain sudden enlightenment, and their minds thereby become illuminated when they are no longer different from the wise men. All right, so I'm going to end on the beginning of page 84. We're going to leave it at that because it's just about that time. Interesting stuff. Leave a comment if you have any opinions or if you feel like it. Have a great day, night, whatever it is. Catch you later.